So this here is the current prototype that I have, the latest prototype, should I say. There are, you know, it works great, it works really good. There's no button being made for it yet. The bearing is just a generic kind of 118 bearing. But you know, like, I'm only going for the sort of size, the shape, dimensions right now. That's all I'm caring about. I mean, hell, there's a big wobble on it. Doesn't matter, I'm hand grinding it just to get it sort of done fast, quick and dirty, no time wasted, no money wasted, that kind of thing. I made a couple of changes. I made it 1.5 millimeters shorter. And so I've got this blank here, which I am going to turn into basically, you know, one that looks like the other one. This angle here is a little bit sharper, you know, a bit more, don't know what the word is, angled, like it's more of a peak. And the other thing is that, I can't remember if I said it, but it's 1.5 millimeters shorter, because I think that will make a difference for this. So what I need to do now is get hand grinding on it, on the grinding machine. So I've done about half an hour of grinding, and this is the result so far. It's a bit more of an aggressive design than I was doing before. It's roughly, you know, I'm just kind of experimenting a bit because I know pretty much what the shape's going to be. I'm just sort of trialing it a bit, trying a different shape, trialing something else. I think that's it for the current rough belt that I'm using. I'm now going to go to a finer belt to, you know, start giving it a better finish. So I've done it a little bit differently this time. What I've done is, on one side I've sanded it in a certain way, and on the other side I've kind of sanded it differently, and differently at both ends. So this is one of the ends there. You can see that, and if you compare it to the other end's just like a spear. I put 2 extra angles on this end, which you can probably see. And this is the other side, which is the same on both ends pretty much. But I did like a line across each thing. You see where my thumb and my finger are? I put big lines across there to sort of try and round it out. I'm not quite sure how I feel about it yet. What I need to do is get it on the other grinder and sort of grind the curves in there where your finger sort of slides along to spin it, and, you know, tumble it, and, you know, then we'll sort of play with it and sort of see how it looks and see how it feels at the same time. This spinner is now ready to go into the ceramic media for tumbling. That will round the edges and there's corners and things like that, because, you know, right now, you know, I think it's a bit sharp, doesn't look that well finished. You know, I do it because even though I am just sort of testing this for size and shape, I still like to do it sort of similar to what the retail product sort of will ultimately be. So yeah. I just bought this thing for you. Now, you won't be able to tell any difference there. That is just a clear bit of glass that goes in front of the lens. I put it on all my lenses. You know that little bit of footage I did earlier where the sparks were coming into the lens? Well, that wrecked this thing here. This is a new one, but it was worth it. I wanted to get that footage for you. I knew it was going to wreck it, but I thought it was worth it for you. Now I know it is very sort of non-symmetrical, you know, like you look here, this would, see that point there, like that line there is a lot wider than say that line, but I know that. Just to confirm, this is a very, very rough prototype. I'm just going for like the sort of tweaking the final kind of dimensions, you know, in terms of length and angles and, you know, how you flick it, where your fingers get positioned, that kind of thing. What I'm going to put through here is basically, oh, I've got it in my pocket, you know, the same extremely crude machine screw and bearing that's in this one. I mean, this one, you know, it works well for testing. Obviously, I'd never sell something just like this. The final thing is going to be CNC machined. It's going to be like perfect to like the 100th of a millimeter type thing, and you know, like I just want to, you know, because I've seen comments where people are like, oh Magnus, it's squint, it's this. It's like, yes, of course, it's a crude prototype. There's no point spending like 5 times the amount of time, you know, carefully grinding the prototype when I'm just going for rough shape and that kind of thing at this stage. So just want to make that clear. What I need to do now actually is Dremel the hole here so that I can take the machine screws and bearing out of this one and fit it in the new one. As you can see, finally got the bearing in. Took a hell of a lot of work with that little Dremel. I think the little tool I've got is getting really, really blunt. That's it. This thing, you know, it wobbles like hell that way, it wobbles like hell that way, you know, it's completely imbalanced, but that's fine. Like I said, completely crude prototype. The final one will be CNC'd. What I'm going to do now is basically just sort of spend the rest of the evening playing with it, sort of play with it through the night tomorrow morning, just like I usually do with my prototypes. And yeah, that's about it really. What I might do is actually see if I can polish it, just out of curiosity. I mean, it probably won't work because the things I've got there are, the polishing wheels are kind of old and they got kind of crusty, and it generally just scrapes it more than anything else. So we'll see how it goes anyway. Before I go, remember, to get on the launch list for this, so you keep up to date on, you know, on the developments. And you know, it is just a few weeks until this is probably finished and I have the final prototypes done and sort of ready to launch it. In the description below you will see a link to a page on my website. You can sign up there to get onto the list. I will of course leave you with a quote right now before I go. It is by Henry Ford, and he said, "Obstacles are those frightful things you see when you take your eyes off your goal."